Godzilla and Kong were built to kill each other. Their two species have been at war for over 10,000 years, and one of them nearly wiped the other bloodline off the planet. So, the single most powerful alliance in Monsterverse history should have been impossible. It was not built on friendship. None of these alliances were. Every time two titans have ever stood together, it was survival. One god deciding that whatever was coming next was worse than the monster standing right beside them. This is every titan team-up in the Monsterverse. Which titans stood together, what forced them into it, and the ancient betrayal that makes every one of these alliances more fragile than it looks. The first team-up in Monsterverse history did not happen between two titans. It happened between titans and us. When the earliest human tribes rose out of a world still ruled by giants, they did not fight the titans. They built their homes right next to them. The benevolent ones, the protectors, became gods. Entire cultures formed around a single titan, worshipping it, living in its shadow, safe from the more hostile monsters that would have erased them overnight. Most people think that was just superstition. It was not. Some of those ancient people learned to speak to them, not with words. With their minds, a telepathic link between a fragile human and a creature the size of a mountain. And that bond is not gone. It survived in exactly one bloodline, the Iwi. The same tribe that lived on Skull Island survived the storm that nearly wiped them out and fled into the Hollow Earth to live there in secret for generations. Their last living thread to that ancient power is a deaf girl named Gia who signs to Kong, and Kong signs back. That is not a movie gimmick. That is the final surviving piece of a partnership older than language. But humanity broke it, because that is what humans do. Some of them wanted to control the Titans, to turn living gods into weapons of war. And when the Titans rebelled, it became a war between man and monster that helped end the ancient world. The team-up came first, the betrayal came second, and every alliance after this one is haunted by that exact pattern. Which brings us to the only bond in this entire universe that never broke. Godzilla has no allies. That is the reputation, the lone king who answers to nothing and no one. And it is almost true. There is exactly one exception in over 250 million years. Mothra. Their relationship is not friendship. It is symbiosis. Two ancient species biologically wired to protect each other. They can communicate across entire oceans through a low bioacoustic sonar, a frequency no human instrument fully captured until Monarch reverse-engineered the orca. When Mothra is calm, her wings glow soft blue with hints of aqua green. When she is enraged, she turns deep red. And when she needs to, she fires concentrated beams of bioluminescent energy the researchers call God rays. Here's the detail that separates this alliance from every other one on this list. It is the reason the planet still exists. Rewind to prehistory. An alien fell from the sky, a three-headed dragon of pure gold that started reshaping the Earth itself. King Ghidorah. And Godzilla did not face him alone. Godzilla and Mothra fought that alien god together, dragged him down, and imprisoned him in the ice of Antarctica. That is the whole reason King of the Monsters even happens. Ghidorah was not discovered. He was excavated. A prisoner Godzilla and Mothra had already defeated once, dug back out of the ice by a human team that had no idea what it was freeing. And Mothra pays the ultimate price to end him a second time. When Ghidorah returns and nearly kills Godzilla, Mothra throws herself into the fight and dies. And as she dies, her body dissolves into raw energy that pours directly into Godzilla, detonating him into burning Godzilla, the only form powerful enough to reduce an alien god to ash. She did not just fight beside him, she became the weapon that killed the thing they beat together the first time. That is loyalty written into DNA. The next alliance had no DNA to fall back on. It had a throne to hand out. The largest team-up in Monsterverse history is one most fans never even count. Because it did not look like an alliance, it looked like a surrender. At the end of King of the Monsters, Ghidorah is dead, and Godzilla stands in the wreckage of an ecosystem the alien threw into chaos. And one by one, every awakened titan on the planet comes to him. Rodan, the fire demon, a titan of molten rock and hurricane wings who had been serving Ghidorah just hours earlier, lands and lowers his head. Behemoth, Scylla, Methuselah. Dozens more that Monarch had been tracking across outposts all over the world. All of them bowing to a single creature. This is what alpha status actually means, and it is more terrifying than a title. The alpha does not lead through respect. The alpha emits a call, a frequency that triggers a hardwired submission response in every Titan that hears it. It is not a choice, it is biology. When Godzilla reclaims that call, he does not just win a fight. He takes command of a planet's worth of living gods, and the result is almost peaceful. Under Godzilla's rule, the Titans begin restoring the ground Ghidorah wrecked. Deserts bloom, dead forests come back. The most destructive creatures on Earth, moving in unspoken coordination, healing the planet. Because the Alpha's balance holds every one of them in check. But that peace is enforced, not chosen. And Monarch spends years quietly managing it, opening outpost after outpost, feeding the public a cover story every time. The same organization that once told the world the entire 2014 San Francisco Titan attack was nothing but an earthquake. A piece that runs on one alpha's frequency has one obvious weakness. What happens when a second alpha shows up who refuses to bow? His name is Kong. For this alliance to exist, two creatures built to hate each other had to stand back to back. And the hatred is not personal, it is genetic. Godzilla's species and Kong's species have been at war since the ancient world. Iwi mythology is blunt about it. There can only be one alpha, and the two bloodlines have been settling that question for over 10,000 years. Godzilla's kind nearly wiped the great apes out completely. By the modern day, Kong is the last of his line on the surface. So when Apex Cybernetics drags Kong out of hiding, Godzilla senses him instantly and comes to finish an ancient argument. He beats Kong twice, in the water, then in the streets of Hong Kong, leaving him on the ground with his heart failing. And then the real enemy reveals itself, Mechagodzilla, a machine the size of a Titan, built in secret by humans who decided the age of monsters needed to end. Here is what casual viewers walk past. Mechagodzilla was powered by the salvaged skull of King Ghidorah. The dead alien god was never fully gone. His severed head still held a fragment of the telepathic mind that once let his three heads speak to each other, and Apex plugged it straight in. Ghidorah, reaching out from beyond death, seizes control of the machine and turns it on everything. The villain of the second film almost wins the fourth one as a ghost in a robot. Godzilla cannot win this alone. He is exhausted and the machine is tearing him apart, so a human team does the unthinkable. They restart Kong's stopped heart with the raw power of their Hollow Earth aircraft, and the great ape rises for one last fight. Kong grips his axe, a blade carved from the dorsal plate of one of Godzilla's own dead ancestors, and Godzilla fires atomic breath directly into it, supercharging the edge. Together, one blow at a time, they rip the machine apart. Kong tears its head off and roars. Then Kong drops the axe. 10,000 years of war, paused by choice. But a paused war is not a finished one. Kong still needed a family. And in the world below, he was about to find one, starting with a child. Not every team-up is about firepower. This one is about bloodline. And it hides one of the darkest secrets in the entire franchise. Deep in the Hollow Earth, Kong finds what he had given up hope of finding, more of his own kind. But they are not free. An entire tribe of great apes, enslaved under a tyrant. And among them is a small red-furred juvenile the fandom calls Suko. At first, Suko is an enemy, a subject of the tyrant, hostile and afraid. But over their journey, the wary distance between them collapses into something Kong has never had. A son, a student. The last isolated king of the surface becomes a father in the world below. Here is the detail that makes it unsettling. Look at Suko's fur. That deep red is the exact shade worn by one other ape in the film, the tyrant himself. The strong implication in the lore is that Suko is the Scar King's own offspring, which means Kong did not adopt an orphan. He raised the child of his greatest enemy and turned that child into the very thing that would help bring the tyrant down. Because Suko is not along for the ride. At the climax, when Kong is disarmed and losing, it is Suko who retrieves the axe. And it is Suko who smashes the crystal the tyrant uses to control his living super weapon. A juvenile ape, the son of a monster, personally breaks the chain holding the most dangerous Titan on the battlefield. which is the only reason the final largest alliance in Monsterverse history was able to win at all. This is the big one, the most monster-packed alliance ever assembled, and it only exists because a grudge older than the human species finally broke. The threat is the Scar King, and he is not a new villain. He is an ancient one, dug out of deep history. In the Primordial Wars, the Scar King led an army of great apes against Godzilla's own species in a bid to conquer the surface, and he nearly destroyed Godzilla's entire bloodline before he was beaten and sealed in the deepest reaches of the Hollow Earth. Now, he is loose, and he has a weapon no one has ever faced. Shimo, a colossal, ancient ice titan so powerful that her frost triggered the last ice age on Earth. The Scar King controls her through a single crystal on the tip of his whip, a shard that fires searing pain through her body whenever she resists. He does not command Shimo, he tortures her into obedience. Kong cannot beat this alone, and he knows it. So he does something his species has not done in 10,000 years. He goes to find Godzilla. And the bridge that makes it possible is Mothra. Resurrected by the Iwi deep in the Hollow Earth, Mothra reawakens the ancient truce, the same partnership that beat Ghidorah at the dawn of time, calling out across the world to convince Godzilla to let his oldest enemy stand beside him. Meanwhile, Godzilla is preparing his own body for a war on this scale, hunting down other titans, absorbing the radiation of the ancient titan Tiamat, and evolving into a new state entirely, his dorsal plates burning hot pink with atomic power. The alliance detonates in Rio de Janeiro, Godzilla, Kong, and Mothra against the Scar King and his ice god. And the tide only turns when Tsuko shatters that control crystal and frees Shimo. The instant her pain stops, she turns on her tormentor. Kong channels her ice through a mechanized gauntlet, freezes the Scar King solid, and shatters him with a single strike. The tyrant who nearly ended Godzilla's species is reduced to falling shards on a beach. 4 titans, 1 alliance. A 10,000-year war formally over. And when the dust settles, Shimo, the freed ice god, chooses to follow Godzilla and Kong home instead of fleeing. The coalition did not just win, it grew. So here is where it leaves the Monsterverse. For the first time in the history of this planet, the 2 most powerful bloodlines on Earth are not at war. Godzilla rules the surface, Kong rules the world below, Mothra watches over both, and an ancient ice god now answers to them instead of a tyrant. The most dangerous alliance ever formed is standing, and it is standing at the exact moment the sky is about to open. Because whatever comes next does not crawl up from the Hollow Earth, it falls from above, and an alliance built entirely on surviving what was coming next has never once faced a threat from off this planet. Subscribe right now. Lock in, because the next Titan War is already being written, and this channel breaks down every second of it before anyone else. Hit subscribe. The throne is watching.